Hi y'all, so today I am doing my TBR for the Biannual Bibliothon and the Booktubeathon because I decided that I'm going to try to do all of the reading challenges for both since they're essentially being hosted on the same week. The Biannual Bibliothon is being hosted from Sunday the 23rd through Saturday the 29th, and the Booktubeathon is being run from Monday the 24th through Sunday, June 30th. I will link all of the links for the reading challenges and the official announcement videos for both of the read-a-thons down in the description below, and let's get on to the read-a-thon. So my TBR is quite ambitious. I've never actually completed all of the challenges for the Booktubeathon before, especially the 7 books in 7 days challenge thing, so the likelihood is I won't get to all of them, but I've got a plan to get to all of them is kind of how this is going. But I am going to be reading Flame in the Mist by Renee Audier, and this completes the challenge of reading the group book for the Biannual Bibliothon, and I'm planning on reading this the first day of the Biannual Bibliothon, so it won't count for the Booktubeathon at all. So the next book is The Boy in the Striped Pajamas by John Boyne. And I am doing a buddy read with Horatia. That's not like her real name, that's her YouTube name, but she's not actually a booktuber, but she did post a planning her TBR video for the Booktubeathon, and we decided that we were gonna buddy read this book, and I will leave her channel down below because she's quite delightful. And I'm going to be using this for the Biannual Bibliothon challenge of reading a book and watching the movie or TV adaptation of this, because the movie adaptation is on Netflix for streaming in the USA this month. It will also fulfill another challenge of the Biannual Bibliothon, which is reading from a host's favorite genre, and this is Katrina's favorite genre of historical fiction, and she said pretend bonus points for World War II. So of course I got the pretend bonus points, let's be real. And it will fulfill 2 challenges for the Booktubeathon, which is finish a book in 1 day and read a book completely outdoors. I live in Texas, so we have to deal with the sweltering heat and possible rains because it's actually been a wet summer. But I've got the audiobook of this too, so I will probably listen to portions of it on my daily walks. And by the way, I am super dorky because I spent essentially 5 days putting books on hold and then planning out all of the challenges, and then even last night I was trying to figure out what books do I need to read what day so I can get this all done. Yeah, so if you feel dorky about doing all this, you are not alone, and I am not ashamed. So the next book on my TBR is The Miseducation of Cameron Post by Emily Danforth. And for the Biannual Bibliothon, I am using this book to fulfill the challenge of reading a book that has representation for the LGBTQIA+ community. And I believe this is about a lesbian or bisexual girl. And then for the Booktubeathon, I'm using it to fulfill the challenge of reading a book with a character that is completely different from you. I'm straight, she's not, so that was actually pretty simple. The next book I'm going to read is The Art of Racing in the Rain by Garth Stein, and I'm using this to fulfill the Biannual Bibliothon challenge of reading a banned book. And I picked this one particularly because 2 years ago in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, there's a very highly rich section of Dallas County called Highland Park, and they have their own school district, but their school district made national headlines for banning 2 different books, and this was one of them. The other book was a book about the poor living in America, so I mean, this is highly, so I actually chose a book that was banned in my area. The next book I'm picking up is actually a middle grade novel, and this is The Midnight War of Mateo Martinez by Robin Yardy. For the Biannual Bibliothon, this book will fulfill the challenge of reading a book you found somewhere other than BookTube. And I was actually searching for the best covers of last year, the year before, online to kind of find a book for the Booktubeathon challenge that this is going to be used for, which is read a book you got or lended from the library based on the cover, and this cover is just absolutely gorgeous. When I saw it, I read the synopsis and was like, this is perfect. And it's a bit shorter than the rest of my chunky read, so that's another plus. The next book I plan on reading is The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater for the Biannual Bibliothon. This would fit the challenge of the throwback challenge of reading a book over 300 pages. But that's not but I haven't planned to use it for that. That's just my backup if my last book doesn't come in. But for the Booktubeathon, I am using it to fulfill the challenge of reading a hype book. Everyone on Booktube is essentially like hyped up the Raven Boys, especially Books in Law. And so I'm finally giving it a go. Okay, so the next book I don't have in physical format because it's still on hold through the library. And so I'm a little unsure if it's gonna get here. But when I was picking up my other books, the librarian thought there's a pretty good chance that it would be here in time. But I'm going to be reading the Booktubeathon's group book, which is Juniper Lemon's Happiness Index by Julie Israel. And for the Biannual Bibliothon, I was going to use the throwback challenge of reading a book over 300 pages. And for the Booktubeathon, I was going to use it to fulfill the challenge of reading a book with a person on the cover. And if you come up counting so far, that's 7 books. In order to read the 7 books in 7 days, which is the last challenge for each read-a-thon, you actually have to read a total of 8 books. In my mind, if you're not going to like count a book that you started on day 1 of the Biannual Bibliothon and also like count it for the Booktubeathon because you finished it on the 2nd day, I just, in my mind, you had to do 8, I guess. So for my 8th book, I actually need your guys' help. I'm like looking for your thoughts and inputs onto which book I should pick up. But there are 2 different short story anthologies that I'm considering. The first one is Assessing the Future, which is a science fiction, futuristic, disability-themed short story collection. And there are also 9 art prints in here that feature science fiction characters with disabilities, but all the stories are science fiction and contain main characters with disabilities. And I've heard no one talk about this, so I don't know if it's good or not. But the back, this is what the back says, which really made me like pick it up. The 15 authors and 9 artists in this volume bring us beautiful speculative stories of disability and mental illness in the future. Teeming with space pirates, battle robots, interstellar travel, and genetically engineered creatures, every story and image is a quality crafted work of science fiction in its own right, as thrilling and fascinating as it is worthy and important. These are stories about people with disabilities and all of their complexity and diversity that scream with passion and intensity. These are stories that refuse to go gently. And if you're wondering about the tabs, I tab each of the individual short stories because I usually don't read a short story collection in order, and so I find like ones that I want to read, and then I take the tab off and I'm done. That way I know which ones I've already done. And the other short story collection I have is Flying Lessons and Other Stories, which is edited by Helen O, who is the creator, who's like one of the creators of the We Need Diverse Books project. And so each of these stories is a middle grade story featuring a person of a disability and some sort of diversity, whether that be LGBTQ or racial or just people who generally aren't as represented in literature. So there's this one. If you guys are doing the Biannual Bibliothon or the Booktubeathon or both and you have a TBR, please link it down below so I can watch it. And subscribe if you want to see more of my like bookish content and then like all of my Booktubeathon and Biannual Bibliothon stuff I decide to do. I don't know if I'm going to do any of the Biannual Bibliothon video challenges, to be honest. But we'll see. You know, we'll determine what I do. I'm planning on doing a couple of the Booktubeathon ones, just kind of depending on what they are that day. But yeah, I will see y'all later, and thanks for watching. Bye, y'all.